Hi, thanks for joining us tonight for the presentation on the US 202 South Corridor. My name is Lisa Murphy, and I'm a planner here at Southwest Region Planning Commission. And I'm joined tonight by Henry Underwood, who is also a planner here. Tonight, I'll be giving you a high-level overview of the US 202 South Corridor, which will run about 15 minutes for the presentation, followed by several slides with questions for you to provide for the local input that we will need to help us put into the plan. This meeting is being recorded to help me take notes and to make the video available later to people interested in this presentation that weren't able to attend. I'm going to skip that. Purpose of this meeting is to collect feedback on challenges and opportunities in the US 202 South Corridor. Our schedule for completing this update to the long-range transportation plan is July of this year. SWRPC is one of 9 regional planning commissions. One of the roles of SWRPC is to create and update the long-range transportation plan for this region. Long-range transportation plans seek to better understand the current conditions and future demand for transportation, and to help address the needs of the population in this area for the population. Among other information, the plan contains a vision, goals, and objectives, data and information about existing corridors, documentation of transportation challenges and opportunities, and there's also a section that documents planned projects and currently unfunded projects. You can read the current version of our long-range transportation plan, which is entitled Southwest Connects at the SWRPC website. And Henry's also going to put it in the chat, the link for it. So back in 2014, at the encouragement of the New Hampshire DOT, SWRPC changed its long-range transportation plan approach. I'm going to let somebody in. Changed our long-range transportation plan approach to a corridor-based sub-region approach rather than a system-wide approach, and that looked at all 34 towns through one lens. In our plan, SWRPC identified 8 major transportation corridors. These corridors connect major destinations within the region, and they connect Southwest New Hampshire to surrounding regions and neighboring states of Vermont and Massachusetts. Corridor analysis approach has a number of benefits over a system-wide approach. For example, corridors tend to mirror the predominant movement of people, goods, and information, and regionally significant economic activity. Corridors are a good scale with which to engage regional stakeholders that feel more comfortable offering and sharing feedback on the regional or local matters than they are ultimately familiar with. And corridor level analysis encourages a more complete investigation of non-transportation factors that impact our transportation system, such as land use and economic development planning, which tend to be administered at the local level. The US 202 South is one of the 8 corridors in the Southwest region, and one that we will focus on this evening. It includes transportation assets in the towns of Jaffrey, Peterborough, and Rindge. Each corridor represented in the Southwest Connects includes a backbone arterial highway, as well as a network of other arterials and collector highways linking to this main backbone. The highways in the US 202 South network are shown in the green. Any other colors that you see here are other corridors, and we've already had meetings on those. The main artery of this corridor is the US 202 as it extends from Peterborough at the 101 intersection to the Rindge, Massachusetts state line for approximately 13.7 miles. Other roads included in this corridor are portions of New Hampshire 119, 124, and New Hampshire 137. There's also a few minor collectors in Jaffrey and Rindge, and you'll see those on the green area. Corridor also includes an Monadnock rail trail and a small portion of Peterborough's common pathway, which extends northerly into the US 202 North Corridor. One of the things that SWRPC assesses as part of the long range transportation plan is safety. This is a safety map, and it shows the general locations of crashes and the level of severity. Red represents fatalities, orange represents serious injuries, and blue represents non-motorist serious injuries or fatalities, such as pedestrians and bicyclists. At each fatality crash location, the red ones, there may be more than one fatality, and it could also include serious injuries. So we don't know great detail about it. Fatal crashes have occurred in all 3 corridor towns. Similarly, at each serious injury crash point, there might be multiple serious injuries. Again, it's only a dot, it doesn't show how many. Many of these occurred on the US 202. However, they are spread throughout the corridor. You can see some of the areas in the smaller roads, arteries. Between 2011 and 2020, there were 27 serious injuries, 11 fatalities, and 1 non-motorized fatality or serious injury within the corridor. In this slide, it shows a list of improvement projects on the corridor from New Hampshire DOT's 10-year plan. This list does not include resurfacing and paving projects. As you can see, Jaffrey has several projects in the design phase, including intersection improvements to the US 202, New Hampshire 124, and New Hampshire 137 area, also known as the Dogleg. In addition to the projects on the previous slide, we have additional plans and studies related to transportation on this slide. SWRPC assisted the town of Jaffrey with a Safe Routes to School action plan for both the elementary and the middle school. We also did a road safety audit along the area of Old Sharon Road and Nutting Road. For those of you who aren't familiar with the road safety audit, it's a formal safety review of a road intersection performed by a multidisciplinary team to identify safety issues and provide potential measures to improve safety for all road users. The audit report was finalized in August of 2022 and documents existing conditions as well as identifies the benefits of a variety of safety improvements to pursue over the near term, medium term, and long term. Typically, a road safety audit includes folks from the local level, such as police officer, road agents, planner, and could also include a bus driver, somebody who's very familiar with this intersection. But it also includes members from DOT and from SWRPC as well. In Peterborough, SWRPC conducted a mini corridor study of the area surrounding the New Hampshire 101-202 intersection. The findings of that study indicated a need for improved infrastructure for bicyclists and pedestrians, as well as safety improvements in and around the intersection. Also in 2002, SWRPC conducted a study of the US 202 corridor from the intersection of 202 and New Hampshire 9 in the Hillsborough area that ran all the way to the south to the Massachusetts state line. Also here you'll see microtransit feasibility and fixed route transit service plan design assistance study that was just completed. Sorry about the long title, but I didn't make that one up. Microtransit is a type of public transit that offers flexible routing and scheduling, and trips are shared with other passengers that are going in a similar direction. this corridor was included in the study's Eastern Monadnock pre-booked microtransit alternative, which estimated an annual demand for up to 16,000 trips per year that could be served by 2 vehicles. Pretty amazing. Traffic counts. These are the top traffic count increases. Certainly we've done more traffic counts than this, but these are the ones that rose above for the percent change. The traffic counts help us to look at changes that have occurred during a 6-year period. The most recent counts conducted by SWRPC occurred in 2018 and 2019 along the US 202 South Corridor. Most significant increases occurred at all 5 locations in Rindge, ranging between 26.9% increase to 46.7% increase in traffic. It's a lot of increase. So the locations for these traffic counts were done on US 202 and New Hampshire 119. In addition to those counts, there were increases in the Jaffrey traffic counts of 7.9% and 16.1%, and a 10.3% increase in Peterborough on the US 202 and New Hampshire 123 south of Sand Hill Road. This is an inflow-outflow chart, and it shows the numbers of workers coming to work inside the 3 towns, which is 4,474 daily. It also shows the number of workers that live and work within the corridor, the circular part here, with 2,144 people, and the number of people who live within the corridor but travel out of the corridor to get to work. So those people that live in Peterborough, Rindge, and Jaffrey, but they commute out. And you can see the top commuting destinations to the left. People are coming into the corridor from New Ipswich, Winchendon, and Keene. And those that are commuting out of the region, of that area, to other jobs are going to primarily to Keene, New Ipswich, Nashua, and Bedford. So most people who use this corridor drive. However, alternative modes of transportation are important because some people can't drive and because the cost of transportation is high, and people using this corridor may make predictable trip patterns that can be addressed through alternative forms of transportation, such as transit, rideshare, or other programs. Alternative transportation is limited on this corridor. However, there is bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, and there is a volunteer-based driver program that serves this corridor, and that's done through CVTC, or Community Volunteer Transportation Company. I'm sorry. Bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure. Jaffrey and Peterborough have a complete street policy calling for the towns to help ensure that the safety of all users, including motorists, pedestrians of all ages and abilities, bicyclists, emergency responders, freight providers, and users of public transit and municipal transportation projects. The volunteer driver program, as I mentioned, is Community Volunteer Transportation Company, also known as CVTC. It serves the towns in this corridor. However, there are limited drivers available. So if you're concerned about the transportation options in your town, then consider trying to recruit some additional volunteer drivers. That's one of the complaints we hear, is that there just aren't enough drivers. So at the end of the day, who are we really planning for? And it's people. On this slide, SWRPC shows segments of the population that live in the corridor, because different groups or people tend to have certain transportation needs or can be seen as representing a specific transportation market. Some groups don't drive, some have less resources such as money or time, and some have distinct lifestyles that separate them from others in terms of transportation preferences. So as you can see on this slide, 18% of the corridor population is made up of youth. Higher percentages of the youth are in Jaffrey and Rindge, which both have 20% each. This group generally does not drive yet, and they need to rely on others for trips or needs safe pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure so that they can travel independently. The percentage of young adults is 23%. Higher percentages of young adults are in Rindge with 33% and Jaffrey with 25%. Today's seniors make up about 20% of the corridor population. The higher concentrations of seniors are in Peterborough with 27%. Nationally, 1 in 5 seniors don't drive. So certainly there is a need for some alternative transportation. Percentage of low income residents in the corridor is 13%. Individuals in this category would benefit from having transportation options to meet their transportation needs. 13.9% of all families with children living in the corridor are headed by single parents. Certainly makes a challenge for getting kids to the places they need to be. A higher proportion of single parents can be found in Peterborough. That's 15.8%. Single parent households tend to need a flexible transportation option to deal with time constraints also. And lastly, individuals with disabilities make up 13% of the corridor population. People in this category may require specific equipment and need assistance. So now we're at the portion of the meeting that we need to get some input from you. You know, we can do these studies, we can get the numbers and all that, but we don't drive the corridor every day like you do. And it's helpful for us to have the local input so that we know where some problem areas are. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Henry Underwood. And Henry, if you can go ahead, it's all yours.
Thanks, Lisa. So yeah, as Lisa was saying, for each of these presentations, we aim to learn more about the topics you see numbered here: safety concerns, transportation options, resiliency, infrastructure, and then kind of a catch-all, other topics. We want to hear about things like specific areas that seem to have frequent crashes or crashes with injuries. Maybe about a difficult connection for people walking and biking. Maybe it's a gap in a sidewalk network or crosswalk. Things like areas that are in need of upgrades or maintenance to handle severe weather events, especially extreme precipitation events. Or maybe it's an issue related to condition of infrastructure, a bridge or a roadway. So now would be the time to share a little bit about particular concerns you might have. Where is it? What is it? Any solutions you're aware of being discussed. And I can demonstrate on how we will be incorporating that information into a regional map of challenges and opportunities.
So it looks like we have a small group here today. Could you unmute yourself and introduce yourself and what town you're from, please? Okay.
Lisa, why don't should I continue with like the demonstration of how we can collect input?
Yes, because it is being recorded and others can benefit from it.
Okay, then we can come back and try again. So I'm going to share my screen for just a brief tour of some of the tools we've used to help collect information for this project. Maybe you visited our Southwest Connects webpage, swrpc.org/SW Connects. You can read our current long-range transportation plan, find an archive of our previous meetings, along with recordings and notes. But the two things I wanted to share relative to challenges and opportunities you're aware of are include a map survey, which is available via the webpage, and we'll post a link in the chat. When you arrive, you see a map of the region, and it's populated with information from past work and from our previous meetings. And each point represents an issue, a challenge, or an opportunity. This one talks about Safe Routes to School Action Plan. So visiting this site, you can comment on existing challenges or opportunities that are marked, or agree with them. And you can also add new ones by clicking on the bottom right corner to open this short form. There are kind of two steps. You'll browse through the map to a location that you want to mark. Maybe it's this pretty busy intersection here, and you can mark it as an issue, or maybe it's more positive and you see it as an opportunity, and write a short description. Maybe it's something about congestion, and then click the report it button to add it to the map. It's as simple as that, and encourage you to add new points, as well as browse the other points you might see in the areas that are familiar to you.
Henry, can you talk about some of the points that are up there in the Jaffrey area right now?
Sure.
Thank you.
Let's just explore these together a little bit. And as I mentioned, some of these are from our current version of the long-range transportation plan. Some of them may be new from these corridor meetings. So this point is kind of a general comment about balancing mobility, moving cars, and having a vibrant downtown in Jaffrey. So that's kind of a big picture, ongoing discussion that was brought up. Let's look at another point downtown. This point talks about a recommendation for a new crosswalk, or maybe an improved crosswalk at a certain intersection near the grade school. We could maybe, there is a point here in Peterborough on the northern part of this corridor network. It talks about the common path. I think this is maybe roughly where it begins, and that it's disconnected between Jaffrey and Peterborough due to the change in ownership of the trail. So an opportunity maybe to connect the trail systems. So those are, a lot of them are focused on this downtown area, but really we're interested in the entire corridor system that includes all of 124, and as well as 202. So yeah, that's a quick tour of this interactive map. We will read all the comments. We will read all the new challenges and opportunities. They'll be used to update the plan. While I have my browser open, I also want to make you aware of another tool we're using that's more general. It's not related to points on the map. And it's a questionnaire about basically a little bit about you and a little bit about your how you think the current long-range transportation plan resonates with you. Do the objectives and strategies make sense to you, for example? So we're also encouraging folks to submit feedback on the current plan this way. I think that's all I have for the outreach demo, Lisa.
Yeah.
I'll stop sharing and return back to you.
Okay, so the only other thing I have to add is, do you have any areas of concern for safety of either motorized safety or pedestrian or bicycle safety? And in addition to that, are there areas that are at risk from severe storm events such as flooding and culverts washing out, or water that comes either over the road or pretty close to the road? Those would be helpful if we know about those. And also, as we mentioned in one of the previous slides, what are some possible solutions to those, or do you have some alternative transportation ideas that we can include in the plan and share with DOT? Okay.
Lisa, could you go back to our slide deck that has our contact information and the project website? That'd be a good thing to close on, maybe. We're there.
All right, so thank you for attending and watching this. Here are some other ways you can get involved. As Henry had mentioned, the map-based corridor survey, he showed the demonstration on that. There's a link here that you can use. Also, he put the link in the chat box. The transportation survey that he mentioned is shown here. And that's in the chat box too as well. Right? Okay. And you can read the current version of the SWRPC Connects long-range transportation plan. And you can see that here. If you have any questions, Henry and I are available to either by email or you can call the number at the bottom. Certainly we'll be happy to chat and take some additional information that you might have. If you can share your the information that you got tonight, possibly the especially the mapping, and see if any other folks, maybe a road agent or police chief, might have some additional information to put on that map, that would be very helpful, as well as taking the survey. So thank you again for joining us tonight, and stay warm.